Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something right now. Right at the start, what would happen if you talk to yourself differently for just 3 days? I'm not talking about fake affirmations or empty slogans. I'm talking about the language that reshapes your inner world, the voice that rewires your thinking, the self-talk that turns your mind from a battlefield into a garden. Because here's the truth that very few people realize: the most powerful conversation you will ever have in your life is not with your boss, your spouse, your mentor, or even with God. It's with yourself. Every single day you're talking to you, you're reinforcing something, and for most people, that self-talk is like mental poison. It is cynical, critical, confused, and chaotic. That voice says, "You're not enough." It says, "You always mess it up." It says, "Why even try?" And because of that voice, people remain stuck in cycles of shame, guilt, procrastination, and fear. Not because of their circumstances, not because of their past, but because they haven't learned how to speak to themselves with truth, love, and power. So I want to challenge you. For the next 3 days, talk to yourself differently. For 3 days, use your words like construction tools instead of demolition bombs, because the mind is not static. It's plastic. It's programmable. It is moldable. And your words are the code. You've got to feed your mind with the right instruction set so it can run the right program. Because right now, for many people, their mind is running an outdated script. It's filled with bugs, false beliefs, toxic memories, learned helplessness, and borrowed fears. But the good news is this: you can rewire your mind. You can rebuild your mental software. And it starts with the words you speak to yourself every single day. Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. This is not magic. This is not some airy, fairy mindset tip. This is real, this is proven, this is how the mind works. Your thoughts create emotional patterns. Emotional patterns shape your decisions, and your decisions build your destiny. So when you change the source of those thoughts, your self-talk, you don't just change your mood. You change your future. Let's go deeper. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of saying, "I'm so tired," you say, "I'm waking up to power today." Instead of saying, "I don't think I can do this," you say, "This is my opportunity to rise." You see, the brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination, but it does know repetition. If you say something often enough with enough emotion, the brain accepts it as truth. It rewires the neural pathways, and suddenly, that new voice becomes the default voice. You go from self-sabotage to self-command. You stop being your own critic and become your own coach. I need you to understand something important. You cannot outperform the story you tell yourself. You might hustle, you might grind, you might sacrifice. But if the voice inside your head is still calling you a failure, you will find a way to lose even when you win. That's why it's not just about discipline. It's not just about motivation. It's about transformation. And transformation begins with declaration. You've got to declare who you are, who you're becoming, and what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Not someday, not next year. Now. So what does this look like for the next 3 days? I'll give it to you straight. When you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to go to the mirror, not just to brush your teeth, not just to check your face. I want you to look yourself in the eyes and speak life. I want you to say, "I am built for greatness. I have everything I need to win today. I forgive my past. I claim my future. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am chosen for a purpose greater than me. I walk in wisdom. I walk in love. I walk in fire." Say it like you believe it. Say it even if your feelings don't match your words. Because feelings follow focus. You don't wait to feel strong to speak strong. You speak strong to become strong. Then throughout the day, I want you to interrupt the old script. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good at this," I want you to say, "I'm learning, and I get better every time I try." Every time you hear that little voice say, "You're stuck," I want you to respond, "I am evolving." Every time you feel fear, say, "This is where I grow. This is where I dominate. This is where I prove to myself that I was made for more." You do that not once, not twice, but every single time that voice creeps in. You stand guard over your mind like a warrior. You don't allow weak words to become resident in your mental space. And if that sounds extreme, good, because transformation is extreme. Rewiring your mind is not casual, it's not passive, it's intentional warfare. You must be deliberate, decisive, and disciplined in the way you speak to yourself. Now let's talk about nighttime. When the day is over and you're about to sleep, I want you to end the day with powerful reflection. Not regret, not shame, not I wish I did more. No, I want you to say, I showed up today. I gave my best energy to what matters. I am one step closer. I am proud of how far I've come. I release what I can't control. I rest in peace tonight because I am aligned with my purpose. That kind of reflection doesn't just help you sleep better. It trains your brain to find confidence. Not criticism, gratitude, not guilt. Progress, not perfection. You do this for 3 days and I promise you, your inner world will shift. You will feel more centered, more grounded, more in control. Why? Because you're no longer being dragged around by emotions. You are leading them with language. And that is how kings and queens move. That is how winners live. They don't just act strong. They think strong. They speak strong. And then everything else follows. But let me tell you something even deeper. This kind of self-talk isn't just about motivation. It's about identity, because your brain is always trying to answer one question: who am I? And whatever you say after, I am, becomes a command. So if you keep saying, I am tired, guess what? You stay tired. If you say, I am overwhelmed, guess what? You will keep finding ways to feel overwhelmed. But if you start saying, I am strategic, I am powerful, I am disciplined, I am joyful, your brain doesn't argue, it obeys. Your subconscious starts aligning your behavior with that identity. And don't get it twisted. This isn't pretending. This is prophesying. This is not lying to yourself. This is reminding yourself of the truth that was buried underneath layers of fear, failure, and false stories. This is reclaiming your voice and using it to resurrect your future. And when you do this long enough, the old you starts to disappear. The insecure you, the doubtful you, the afraid you, they all start to fade. And a new you emerges. A version of you that has been there all along, waiting for your words to unlock it. Let me say something to you right now that you may not have heard in a long time. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are simply one decision away from shifting the narrative. The story is not over. The power is still in your hands. And it all begins with the words you choose. Choose carefully. Choose intentionally. Choose like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. And if you're sitting here thinking, what if I fail? I want you to answer with, what if I fly? If you're thinking, what if this doesn't work? I want you to say, what if this unlocks everything? You've got to talk back to your doubt. You've got to challenge your fear. You've got to break up with that inner critic and marry the voice of purpose. 3 days, that's all I'm asking. Not a lifetime. Not a decade. Just 3 days. Talk to yourself like a champion, like a winner, like someone who is building a legacy. And if you do, if you commit, if you stay consistent, if you speak with power, you'll start to feel something changing. You'll start to see differently, act differently, move differently. Because your thoughts are the roots, your words are the seeds, and your life is the fruit. So don't wait. Start now. Look yourself in the mirror and say, this is my time. This is my chapter. I will not be silent. I will not be small. I will not be a prisoner of my past voice. I will speak truth. I will speak fire. I will speak freedom. And when you do, get ready. Because your life is about to follow the sound of your voice. And when you begin to realize that your voice is your instrument of transformation, you will no longer waste it on complaints, on comparisons, or on limitations. You will begin to speak with strategy, not emotion. You'll speak what builds, not what breaks. You'll speak what activates, not what paralyzes. Because the words you say to yourself are not just communication. They are construction. Every sentence is a brick in the house of your identity. Every phrase is a pattern being carved into your neural architecture. And the longer you speak the language of power, the faster your mind rewires to believe that power is normal. You see, power is not a personality trait, it's a practice. And confidence is not something you find, it's something you create. You create it by showing up. You create it by challenging the lie. You create it by flooding your mind with words that align with your vision, not your wounds. That's why you cannot afford to speak loosely. You cannot afford sarcasm when it comes to your identity. You cannot afford to joke about your own failure, because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between humor and truth. It takes it all in. It runs the program you feed it. So when you call yourself lazy, even as a joke, your brain listens. When you say, I'm just not good at that. Your subconscious takes note. It starts to reinforce that limitation. And that's how strong people become stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they have been rehearsing weakness for so long that it became familiar. But familiarity is not destiny. You can choose a new pattern. You can pick a new script. And if you want to live at the next level, you must speak at the next level first. Some of you are praying for a breakthrough, but your words are blocking your own blessing. You're asking for clarity, but you're declaring confusion. You're hoping for strength, but you keep saying you're exhausted. You're visualizing abundance, but you keep calling yourself broke. And that contradiction keeps you locked in a cycle of almost changing, almost growing, almost succeeding, but never breaking through. Why? Because your declarations are canceling your desires. So if you want a different life, start with different language. If you want a healed life, speak healing. If you want a confident life, speak confidence. If you want a focused life, speak clarity and direction and execution. Because your mouth is the microphone to your mind, and your mind is listening. It's not about being perfect. You don't have to never have a negative thought again. But you must refuse to build your identity on those thoughts. They can visit, but they don't get to live there. They can knock, but they don't get to stay. Because every time you respond with strength, you build mental muscle. You are reconditioning your automatic responses. You're taking the driver's seat back from years of unconscious programming, and even if it feels weird at first, even if it feels fake, it's not. It's foreign because it's new, not because it's false. And repetition turns foreign into familiar. You've been speaking like a victim long enough. It's time to sound like a victor. There's a voice inside of you that's waiting to be unleashed. It's the voice of purpose, the voice of clarity, the voice of legacy. And it's not loud at first. It's buried beneath layers of fear, of other people's opinions, of your past failures. But if you'll be still, if you'll speak with intention, that voice will grow, that voice will rise, and it will begin to drown out the voice of fear. That's how you create internal peace, not by silencing every negative thought, but by strengthening the positive one until it leads. You don't get rid of all doubt. You just stop letting it drive. So I want you to ask yourself something. What would your life look like if your dominant thoughts were empowering? What would your energy feel like if your default self-talk was positive? What would change in your relationships, your goals, your faith, your finances, if your mental environment was rooted in truth instead of fear? That's not fantasy, that's neuroplasticity. Your brain literally reshapes based on what you rehearse. So if you rehearse power, you rewire power. If you rehearse gratitude, you rewire joy. If you rehearse love, you rewire peace. You've got 3 days to shift the atmosphere of your mind. And I know some people are thinking, can 3 days really change me? Let me tell you something. 3 days of clarity is more powerful than 30 years of confusion. 3 days of focused energy can spark a lifetime of transformation. Don't underestimate what happens when you show up on purpose. Don't undervalue what happens when you speak with conviction. The truth is, most people never experience their full capacity because they never speak to themselves with consistency. They speak in crisis. They speak only when things are falling apart. But the most powerful people speak truth every single day, not as a reaction, but as a routine. This is your routine now. Morning declarations, daytime redirections, nighttime reflections. You're not just talking, you're training. You're not just repeating, you're rebuilding. You're not just speaking, you're shifting. This is the discipline that few are willing to commit to, but it's the difference between surviving your life and designing your life. Because talk is not cheap. Talk is transformation. Every word you speak is either a weapon or a weakness. You decide. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're walking into a room filled with mirrors. Every mirror shows a different version of you, the fearful you, the confident you, the lazy you, the focused you, the hurt you, the healed you. The version that gets stronger is the one you talk to, the one you feed, the one you speak into. So who are you feeding? Who are you building? Are you speaking to the fear or to the fire? Are you reinforcing the past or revealing your potential? You've got to become your own prophet. You've got to speak your future into the present until your present starts to rise. You've got to interrupt every lie with the truth. You've got to correct every insult with instruction. You've got to override every excuse with execution. This is not hype. This is alignment. Because when your thoughts, your words, and your actions line up, your results become unstoppable. That's when the mind becomes your servant instead of your saboteur. So take this seriously. These 3 days are your initiation into a new mindset. And the voice you choose now will follow you for years. Will it be a voice that tears you down? Or a voice that lifts you up? Will it be a voice that sabotages your future? Or one that builds your vision? The choice is yours. And the power is already in you. Stop waiting for other people to validate you. Speak what's already true. Stop waiting for circumstances to shift before you do. Speak like the shift has already started. Because the secret isn't waiting for something to happen. The secret is becoming the thing that causes it to happen. You become that by mastering your self-talk. And mastering your self-talk means choosing your language like your life depends on it. Because it does. So what will you say today? What will you declare? What will you no longer allow yourself to repeat? Start there, write it down, speak it out. Watch what happens. Because when you change your words, you change your wiring. And when you change your wiring, you change your world. This is the revolution of the mind. And it starts with your voice. Not the voice that others gave you, the voice you reclaim. And after these 3 days, don't stop. Let it continue. Let it become your culture. Let it become your language. Speak life until your life speaks back. Speak victory until your circumstances align. Speak power until weakness no longer has a seat at your table. Because you are no longer available for small thinking. You are no longer available for recycled fear. You are no longer available for the identity that kept you stuck. You are becoming. You are rising. You are aligning. And all of it begins in the way you talk to yourself. So talk to yourself like someone worth becoming. Because you are. If there's one truth I want you to carry from this moment forward, it's this. You are not a prisoner of your past thoughts. You are the architect of your future reality, and that construction begins with your words. For 3 days, you've been given a blueprint, not for hype, but for healing, not for noise, but for next-level living. When you talk to yourself with clarity, intention, and power, you don't just change your mood, you change your mind. And when your mind changes, everything around you shifts. The doors you thought were locked open. The weight you thought you had to carry begins to lift. The future you couldn't imagine suddenly becomes the future you can't wait to create. Your voice has power. Your language has influence. Your mind is listening, so speak the words that align with your calling. Declare the identity that reflects your purpose. Interrupt the patterns that kept you stuck and replace them with words that build, affirm, and elevate. Don't let another day go by where your inner dialogue works against you. Talk to yourself like someone you believe in. Talk to yourself like someone you're proud of. Talk to yourself like someone who knows that greatness is not a gift. It's a decision, it's a mindset, and it starts with the words you speak in silence when no one is watching. So go now, and for the next 3 days and beyond, make your self-talk your strongest ally. Build that voice, sharpen that focus, and speak your future into existence. Because when you talk to yourself like a champion, it's only a matter of time before your life begins to match your voice. Thank you.